Welcome. This is Simply King Podcast. It's your boy Rodney Perry King himself, and you just tuned into the Soulfully Conscious Podcast for humans, simply being humans. And today is a special one. It's a special one. I have here with me. First, I would like to say that this is powered by House of Ashe. Make sure you get your House of Ashe. You know what I'm saying? I'll tag her under here. You know what I'm saying? Powered by House of Ashe. Go and get some of the things that she got for you if if she got some time for you because she booked and busy. But nevertheless, I have here with me a businesswoman in her own right, a multi-hyphenate as well to her own earnest ability, an Atlanta native from the South Side specifically because, you got West Side. Ooh. Let me get it right. Zone 4.
West Side, West End, Campus and Cascade, in the building, always representing.
Okay.
Okay.
Look.
We in this house, we are little baby sands, okay?
I heard that. You know what I'm saying? But no, I have here with me Khadeeja Zee. How you feeling, girl?
I'm feeling really good. Thank you for that intro. Mm-hmm. Like that was too smooth. You got the sauce on that.
Look. They say I've been doing this for a minute. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this for a while now. But no, let's before we get into who you are and all the things, I have to do something with you because it's something very peculiar happening on the internet and what I would always love to talk about. So let's start with the Twitter check-in. Okay. Start my Twitter check-in. All right. Okay. So basically, my Twitter check-in for today is white nonsense, white gossip. I don't be meaning like I when I'm on Twitter and when I'm on most social media sites, I really feel like I always kind of curated so that I can have what I want to see, right? But very often, because white people are white people, and they kind of control media for the most part. So if there's a story or a thing happening, it can pick up so much steam that no matter what side of the internet you're gonna see it, you're gonna catch it, and. The thing that's so funny to me is right now, it's white nonsense from Justin Bieber, like a love triangle. Have you heard about this love triangle with Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, and his wife, Hailey Bieber?
Yes.
That's what is so interesting to me, because it's like, I don't look for stuff like this. Why do I even care about shit like this? What do you know about this story?
So personally, from what I know, I just happened to glance through a video on TikTok recently, and basically the whole like situation just entails like Hailey Bieber having like a personal vendetta against Selena Gomez, which is weird. That is kind of weird, but then people in life are like that, and it's their business out in the public. So we're talking about it today because it is. I don't care about that.
Yeah,
I really don't. But unfortunately, I think from the whole situation, from what I gathered, it just seems like Hailey Bieber put herself mentally on a pedestal because she got Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez, and Justin Bieber's history. And sometimes when women do stuff like that, they unfortunately, especially if you're a woman that's very hyper focused on social media too much, like, because it was just an innocent post Selena Gomez was doing. I love Selena Gomez. Like when she was, we grew up with her. I've never heard of Hailey Bieber until she married Justin, right? So I love
she a nepo baby.
Yeah, but Selena Gomez grew up with us. Like, she was on Disney Channel and shit, doing all that raw shit.
Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yeah, like she really that girl. Like she was in her bag, and like that's inspirational to like up and coming media, like kids who want to work in media. Like that's what we had before we had Keke Palmer and other people that we have now.
Yeah,
but a woman like Hailey Bieber doing all that with a person like Kylie Jenner and the Kardashians, and look at all the shit they did to Jordan Woods.
They thrive off controversy.
Yeah, they thrive off controversy. So I think like it perpetuated that, but I feel like the reaction that they thought they were going to get personally, like Hailey Bieber and Kylie, the little shady stuff they thought they was going to get away with, it just backfired. And I think that's the manifestation of you are with the energy you put out.
Oh, for sure.
So if you putting that out, and unfortunately, the internet is a place where people thrive off negative shit all day. Mm-hmm. So if you thriving off negative stuff all day and looking for negative stuff, or maybe your life and your mindset could be in a negative place. And sometimes people turn to looking at negative stories about other people because it just makes them feel like, well, they going through that shit.
Yeah.
Or that's just something for me to talk about.
Yeah.
To avoid other stuff.
I feel like this. I want everybody to continuously curate what you want to see online, because online, the internet can already be very daunting in certain aspects, because it's, overconsumption really does have a particular effect on us, right? But I think that more than anything, there's always tabs and buttons and things for you to press to curate your stuff to algorithmic levels. You know what I'm saying? From YouTube things where you say you're not interested in seeing certain ads or seeing certain videos. Same way when it comes to when you're on TikTok and you're scrolling through TikTok, you can always just keep scrolling through things that you don't really care about, but really all it takes is just a few seconds to capture some, capture your attention to mark this as something that you probably would want to see again.
Right.
Because shit, you watched this for 10 seconds. You probably was actually intrigued for some point. But you got to let it be known, like, hey, not interested. Don't show me this. Not this. Don't care. And that's how we can curate, what we really want to see. Because I can really care less about I think we get enough distractions that we opt into. We don't need more distractions that are, about white nonsense. But no, to pivot onto you, I want you to, let everyone know exactly, who you are and what you do. And I know, I spoke to, your multi-hyphenates and things like that, because you do a lot. You've done a lot. But I would love for you to speak to, the things that you're really, truly passionate about that really define who Khadeeja Zee is.
Thank you. Thank you for even giving me the opportunity to do that, because I feel like for so long, people have never known what the fuck I do. And I get it. Like, I had somebody, it was like in 2020, they was like, I would not know what you actually do until I sit down and actually talk to you or get to know you. Like, I really wouldn't know. And then I even had one of my close friends, we've been friends for years. And I remember we were at dinner and she was like, I don't know what you do. Like, I know you do, but I know you execute, but I can't pinpoint it. And I think that's also just because, it's kind of how my life has developed. I have learned I've always wanted to work in media production, film and entertainment. I knew that innately, intuitively as a kid, but because of my environment growing up in Southwest Atlanta, and then coming from a family that I don't have any industry people in my family, you know what I'm saying? Coming from all of that, I remember being a kid telling my mother, I want to be an actress one day, Mom. I want to be like Queen Latifah. I remember watching Living Single because my name's Khadeeja. And growing up, everybody's like, oh my God.
I figured that was
living Single Khadeeja. And I'm yeah, that's my name. And then when I was a kid, I was watching Queen Latifah act and Kim Porter, all of them, the whole vibe of that show and how raw it is, because that was my escape from the environment I was in. Watching TV growing up was a escape for me because of the environment that I grew up in, pretty much in my single parent household at the time. And so basically I didn't know. And I remember being in college and I was reading a book called Find Your Sweet Spot. And in this book, it basically stated, and one of my mentors from Georgia State gave me this book when I was a freshman. And long story short, in the book, it was finding your sweet spot basically entails, when a child is young, like 4 or 5, and you notice whatever they do, that innately is their calling. And there are pictures of me in my house, like reading newspapers at like 4 years old. Mm-hmm. I was doing stuff like that. I was talking, being very animated, always like this when I was a kid. But sometimes I had to tone it down just because like that's the thing. In the book, Find Your Sweet Spot, explains that like when kids are young, they're themselves. A child is innocent, but they're also themselves until society and parents and people project things onto them. And then if you're a kid, your brain's not fully developed. So we don't even know who the hell we are until we're 25. Technically, because that's when our frontal cortex like actually, develops. Yeah. And so, you have to go from that spectrum of being 4, 5, saying, hey, like maybe this was some stuff you was already into. You was probably already into the same stuff you was doing, or any of your friends that was already into art, or somebody who's into cars or airplanes. Like that's what they like. But then your parents project on you and say, hey, I want you to do this because actually that's what you wanted to do. And so, to go back to your original question about who I am a girl from Southwest Atlanta that experienced a lot of things, good and bad, but I was also granted, exposure to a lot of things of all good and bad things in the world early.
They do.
Yeah. And so basically I just chose to step out on faith and still pursue my passion for media, journalism, and film. And now I'm literally at a point in my life where I'm doing that. It's not what I thought because we can't predict the future.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. But something can happen, but in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm still doing all the stuff my younger self wanted to do.
And that's a big thing because I think for me, the thing that kind of comes back around is kind of like visual art and talking.
Yeah.
So like at a very early age, those were the two things I feel like I did the most. I used to draw a lot and I used to talk a lot. But it's like, what does that look like? So in that example that you gave about, there are certain, I think we have to widen our scope out in what we're paying attention to when it comes to our kids and really investigate like, okay, that's a tangible thing to see. Like your child is literally intrigued by, publication or just publishing in some way, shape or form, at least from its tangible form, being a newspaper or a magazine. And then you see, TV and various things. But I feel like I showed a lot of what my interests were very early. But I think the thing that, hence what I found and what I'm into now being podcasting, I don't think that people really recognize that's a way, that's something to do with that. It's like, oh, yeah, my child just is, he talkative or whatever it is, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But you don't think, what does that mean? How to figure out what to do with that art? What are the jobs that, somebody who communicates well can truly benefit from? And I think that's where you start, somebody who just wants to, you can't see it as I think so many people see certain things as like just a little, what they're into, the things they like, or a little phase of whatever it might be. But in so many cases, it really could be the thing that piques, your child's interest and really could be aligned in what they want to do.
Right.
And I wish, I think my mom did a great job with me, but I do wish that she had the particular wherewithal to be like, okay, like we need to really have conversations about what it is that you really genuinely want to do. And because I think she was just all about like, do what you want. Do what your heart tells you to do. Like it was really on me. And I think that when you're a child, especially as you grow up, I think you want to have a particular level of independence and choices that you're making. Like you're the reason why this is happening. But in reality, I think as we get older, we almost like desire guidance a lot more. So it's like when we're children, we want independence and we can't wait for the moment where we can start making decisions for ourselves. And then when we get to that point of being able to make decisions for ourselves, we like, shit, can somebody come over? I need an adult. Hold up. I need an adult.
I need a vent session.
I need an adult to make this choice for me. Yeah. What is the deductible? You know, like what is a deductible? I don't want to choose the wrong thing. I don't want to set myself up to have to fix something. What does this mean? I'm in an accident. What is this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, mama, can you come and like look at this? It's like a rash.
Not for real.
Something, you know, stuff like that. So I feel like we be needing more of that. You know?
No, we do.
We be needing more of that. So I think that, you know, I think this might be something I ask, especially, you know, Atlanta natives. And this kind of came in a question that I had with Izzy, the episode I did with Izzy at the end of the year. And that's being from Atlanta, I think, is a very intriguing thing to me. Mm-hmm. I'm a small town kid. So I think I've have very particular takes and observations of people who grew up in metropolitans in various size. And I think what I've noticed about people from Atlanta is that you guys grew up in a creative renaissance.
Yes.
You know,
absolutely.
And you can even say a couple creative renaissances and just eras of things, there's waves happening because just
history.
Think about you know, if you came in through, you were born in the 90s, you're talking about just a cultural moment of, you know, things like Atlanta being chosen for the Olympics. So that means that the world now knows about Atlanta. If you didn't know about the capital of Georgia prior to 96, you knew about it in that moment that the world is in Atlanta.
Exactly.
And it made Atlanta even more of an international. And like, it's funny, shout out to my Professor Dr. Robinson from college. He said, if the Atlanta 96 Olympics didn't happen, that Birmingham would be what Atlanta is today.
Yeah.
They basically kind of broke it down, like, you know, the trajectory that the two cities were on. It seemed like Birmingham was the one where it was becoming, you know, just in terms of development and things like that, but Atlanta winning that kind of like that bid for, you know, the Olympics really changed a lot for the city because simultaneously, shout out to CAU, you had the DMV Club putting on yet again another freedom picnic, or as the world knows it as, Freaknik.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. My parents was at Freaknik. My parents, like, okay, so my daddy from Bankhead. And then like my daddy was really out here. He was really outside. He was Rolling Stone, you know, but my mama tied him down. And then they made me. Mm-hmm. But my mom, she used to be like in Summerhill. And it's like, it's so funny to me because like I be catching myself, like the stuff they did when I was a kid, when they was in like their 20s and 30s, like the music they listened to, like my parents used to always play Outkast, Youngbloods, all type of music. But really when they were playing like, especially like Outkast and other people that came up out of the, like that era from Freaknik and everything like that, like I did not realize how much that impacted me. Like I remember being a child looking at Andre 3000 Bombs Over Baghdad on 106 in Park, and then like riding through the city with my mom, like going to the West End to get the actual cassette tapes. Mm-hmm. Like back in the day in like 2000, because remember, we're millennials. So like we had VHS, like we was watching Rugrats on orange VHS tapes.
Orange tapes. You know
you
some of them
that?
Orange tapes?
We was really in.
Y'all can find me one. I would be so grateful.
No, for real. Like I would love to just have that in my house, just to have it.
Y'all remember the purple tapes, the Barney purple tapes?
Yeah.
That was like coke. That was you had to be a certain type of person for your parent to care about your viewing.
Right, that and some damn cereal. Mm-hmm. Oh, we getting it popping. So it's like I remember going to the West End to get these cassette tapes and these videotapes at Blockbuster.
Ooh,
and like
Blockbuster.
Like all of that. And it's like that was like the nostalgic things of my childhood that made me feel like, wow, this is here, this is home. And like growing up here, I went to Atlanta public schools. So how Atlanta is set up, you have Atlanta public schools and you have Fulton County. So we all know Fulton County is the home county of the heart of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And Fulton County is divided into the city origin, and then like it just spreads out into Fulton County because of the metropolitan area of Atlanta and the infrastructure of the city. And so basically, I just lost my train of thought.
I'll take your time.
All right. So basically, Atlanta is set up in a way where all the inner city kids, like us that grew up like in the zones, like zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 6, the way they divide the police precincts up because of how the crime was and how they just identified everything. Like, we grew up in those neighborhoods. And so when they had the Olympics in the city, like, you saw they separated those neighborhoods. There were white people or, you know, our counterparts that lived in Cascade. Like, Cascade was a rich, affluent area. That's why, like, so many black people, when they got successful, if they became if they became lawyers or doctors or anything like that, they, you know, basically stayed in those neighborhoods and they put wealth into it. And that's what it is about gentrification, like in Atlanta and really just happening in any major city for a lot of people.
It's the most white people that have ever lived in Atlanta. I want to, I don't know if that's a true stat, but it looks like it. It feels like it. I've never seen this many white people in Atlanta until I like went to the Beltline one day on a nice sunny day. And it was like white people wall to wall, belt to belt in that mug. And I was just like, what is different? Like, what's really going on? What's really happening? I feel like when I see that, you know, a place like Atlanta ain't safe from, you know what I'm saying, gentrification, it says so much about the world we live in. Like, dang, like, we really live in a space that's always changing and moving. But I loved it about Atlanta, folks, because y'all really are creative people, organically creative. And, but I think that y'all, to me, have done something that I think every great city still is trying to figure out and struggle with. And I think that's why Atlanta has been that girl.
Because the real Atlanta people, like, and no shade to anybody that's not from Atlanta that moves here, like no shade at all. But the people, the real locals that grew up like this, like how in the creative scene in Atlanta, like it gets really like kind of weird, I'll say. Like the real natives who really like know Atlanta, we kind of also just feel like we don't have nothing to prove. And I feel like that's another reason why nobody has really known like what exactly I do, because I have also felt like, you know, my life is my life. I don't really got to go out of my way to like show you I'm doing this or showing you I'm putting things in motion, because I'm not living my life for your validation anyways. But then like people will come to Atlanta and it's like, we're just here being our authentic selves, creating. Like Martin Luther King was here. Malcolm X was here. Like all these historical events happened here. And then on top of that, this is a safe space because the kids were taught that. We were taught that growing up. We were taught, I remember sitting in school, learning about over 100 Black people for African-American History Month. For every February, like religiously. And now it's 2023. And I've been here for over 20 years, and we reversing Jim Crow. Jim Crow just got reversed. What the hell is going on here?
They're trying to put hanging back on the in the Constitution of Tennessee. And
now they saying, you can't read bell hooks. Bell hooks is not welcomed. You can't teach kids certain things. Black American history, and it's like Black American history is American history, because just like how our counterparts, you know what I'm saying, contributed to this society, so did we. I'm part Caribbean. I know how deep my lineage go back to. I do. In my family, we have conversations about it. We know what's up. Like we know where we came from. We know what port we came from.
Damn.
Every Black person can't say that. I have African friends, and sometimes I find myself being so in awe with them, because that's a whole nother thing, because they know directly, like first generation Africans whose parents came from Nigeria, Ethiopia, wherever over there. Like they know exactly what tribe they came from. And then they have people back home that can tell them about stuff that happened. And then they come here and they work their asses off to get what they want, to live a better quality of life. But it's like, we don't need to keep acting like slavery and all these things. If we're going to make the world a better place outside of, because we clearly see COVID didn't work for us. Like, capitalism is a root of COVID. Now, I'm not going to get too hard into that theory right now, but that plays a part in it, because these people were still making people were upset that grocery stores were short-staffed because people were tired, and people could not afford to just sit up in that fucking house in 2020 and make $12 doing groceries.
Nobody can. Because
they got laid off. And then they were getting more decent money from being laid off than from working at Audi.
And what that say when you can make more in unemployment than you do your own job, you know? That say a lot. Yeah. That say a lot. But no, I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's a good segue. Because in the midst of the pandemic, you instead of you feeling like, you just needed to stay in the house and wear your mask, you took some initiative to try to assist, Black-owned businesses. Yeah. And actually, it's been reported that you even saved some businesses. Yes. Tell me more about that story.
Yes. So in 2020, I co-founded a nonprofit that's still in existence. Yeah. It's called Atlanta Black-Owned Relief. And originally I, co-founded that, partnered with a few women that I knew from school and around the way, and, other relationships I had in my life. But the whole prime thing for that was to just create a GoFundMe, and let's just see. Cause like when I saw that happening, like back in 2020 during the death of George Floyd, and I saw all that, I'm an empath, and also being empathetic. And then I know how much I care about like media just from a historical level, because my dad was in the military for 22 years. So like, me and my dad growing up, we would talk about like stuff like the Watergate scandal and things like that, and how that plays a part in what's happening. Like I talk about that with my family. And long story short, it's just crazy to me when I saw the images I saw on social media of another man getting shot. And guess what? These news corporations, and it's a fact. I encourage everybody to go look at what you intake every day, and look at these companies and look at what they put their money on the back end into. We all have that right. It's fair use, free information, freedom of speech. That's the land of the law, right? So I say that because these companies did not give a rat's ass about us being in COVID, and they showed us that. And then on top of that, they kept putting men. Think about all the men we saw getting shot. Sandra Bland, Rashard Brooks, Trayvon Martin, especially how back to back all that was in the past 20 years. Like, we already knew it was like crooked cops, doing what they was doing. We knew they put cocaine in our hoods in the 80s. We know these things, but like they were putting it in our faces for over 10, 20 years straight. Like, I had anxiety from being a Black girl. Then we watch videos of Martin Luther King getting sprayed on and dogs biting them. Rosa Parks. Outkast has a song about Rosa Parks for a reason, because this is real, and we're not going to keep acting like this did not happen. And that's how I felt when I just saw like all the shit. When I seen Atlanta up in flames, it struck a nerve in me. And I'm like, I'm not finna sit here on Twitter and just tweet about this shit, about how upset I am, how scared I am, how uncertain about my life and how life is. I don't want to do that. I want to actually put something into action. And my parents have always taught me that. And then on top of that, my mom actually works in the service industry, but she works more so like in community service, drug service industry, things like that. So can't really speak on that too much, but my mom has always done public service work. So I knew what like actual community service was growing up. I was a part of the mayor's youth program, and that's a service initiative that Atlanta does to pour back. Kasim Reed did that to pour back into Black youth. Like I was 12, 13, 15, getting jobs through the city government to go, like, instead of like going to summer camp, making some money doing that, learning how to work. So I was never taught to just sit back. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah.
That's a gym for a reason. Like, what you gonna do just sitting there saying, oh my God, like life is horrible, this world is horrible. Well, fuck, I'm gonna get up and do something about it. We got to do something about it. Not just Black women, Black men too. And really not just if you're Black, if you're a human, and make this world a better place. Like, you really are the energy that you put out. And it took me so much in my life to realize that. And that's what that whole situation taught me. Yeah. But it also taught me about the power, like intention, but also manifestation, because the intention from that was to genuinely pour back into Black cities. And we donated 20, 50K grants, 10K grants, $500 grants, $1,000 grants, like not even to just like small business owners, but even people that were working at bars or 1099 freelancers. Like we put money in their pocket.
That's what's up. Yeah, you see why she here, right? You know
yeah. And I'm sorry.
I say that because we needed things like that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it was a multitude of, it was so interesting that, 2020 brought so much shifts and, shifts to so many different things to everybody's life, to having to stay inside, to having to be more of hermits, to being more conscious of our health, to, and I think from a business and creative context, definitely made people try to, adjust how they created, but also how they had to do business. And it's funny because in 2020, I literally had the inspiration to make sure that I started my business and really did everything I feel like I needed to do to establish that and have a full proof thing. And I think a big part of that was seeing so many businesses go down, like seeing so many businesses that to me, I felt like I had a solution for them, but they didn't know me. I didn't have a functioning business to sell them. Yeah. So it was kind of like, damn, like this mom and pop, restaurant in Chicago, I'm looking them up and I'm hearing that they're closing, but I'm like also trying to see if they got any type of digital presence so that they could have kept getting some type of business, at least from one of these delivery services or something. And I see they didn't have that. Yeah. And it was just like, okay, that's like that could have been an easy thing. If you already have been good and you've already been a staple of the community for so long, you don't have to, go down. You can just adjust, yes, and still be able to maintain, because people still gonna want your food. They might can't come out and do the same things they used to do and come and pick it up or, parlay and eat there. But like, you can let the people know that you could still get it. And a lot of people seen that as a solution and went and leaned into it to the max. Shout out to the to-go drinks, to-go cocktails that was happening. And I don't know if y'all was partaking, but I know I was. Them to-go cocktails was everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, oh, so you tell them you about to get me a whole drink in a cup that I can take home? And some people was doing like double shots. Some people was literally doing double, like you would pay like $24 and that was the price of a to-go drink because they literally were giving you double shots.
In Texas and Houston, my dad lives in Houston. I love Houston. Houston reminds me of old Atlanta. Like, it just will always have.
That's what a lot of people saying now too.
Yeah, it will always have a soft spot in my heart, because if I ever get overwhelmed from Atlanta being this new metropolis it's becoming.
When I moved back, I kept telling them this. It's like Atlanta just got finished with the second round of BBL because everything is bigger, wider, and look different.
Right, for sure.
I'm talking about just more buildings, more just shinier things throughout the city that I don't remember. And just like, I remember it's like if you go over there go off of, MLK, over there by the Mercedes-Benz, right there by Restaurant 10. Yeah. Have you seen they built like a little arch? Yeah. That's like goes towards, goes down MLK. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, and see,
And I'm like, this is interesting. Like, why? And it light up. It's like it can be purple in different colors and stuff too. Like, I'm like, what is going on? Like, if this is like a Morris Brown thing, I'm cool with it. But this is giving just trying to match the aesthetic of, that's part of the neighborhood more than anything.
Exactly. And like, it's funny you say that, because I was going to actually like pivot into that point of the conversation. So Houston reminds me of old Atlanta because it still has some Southern twang to it. Mm-hmm. It still has its Southern personality, but I think Houston is going to later evolve because
a lot of people moving to Houston.
A lot of people moving to Houston, but I feel
real estate cheap, and that usually makes everybody move to places.
Exactly. But honestly, from my perspective, and this is because I lived in New York City back in 2019. I was actually living in Harlem on 125th and Lex, and I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and we're going to talk about that, I know, today too, and how that whole situation affected my mental health. Mm-hmm. But so New York City itself is the capital of what America has been built on, which is what? Capitalism, industrialization. Think about like the industrialization movement. Think about slavery and how Frederick Douglass and everybody, they were going up north to New York. Mm-hmm. And the Harlem Renaissance, mm-hmm. which is very important to our culture. Mm-hmm. And it's why media, arts, and entertainment, and why the arts is so important, because it references what's happening. It empowers other people that can't get into that, right? That's what art is here for. I think art itself is just here for people to muse until, they can get whatever feelings they need to get. Yeah. That's what all of these mediums are. That's what they all are. That's what music is. That's what, interviewing and journalism, that's what that is. That's what film is. That's what photography is. It all communicates that and evokes those emotions. That's what books are. That's how paper, like from the Egyptians, they had paper, like, what was it? Papyrus, mm-hmm. right?
Papyrus.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. I stuttered on that, y'all. Don't judge me.
I know what you mean.
But you know what I'm saying? Like papyrus, like all that's because that records the history. So life imitates art, right? So now we have developed all of these civilizations and things like that in these little worlds in our own states, in our own countries, but we're building it off of the successful foundation, because that's how business runs, right? Yeah. So you think about New York and how New York has all the retail fashion houses that took over Gucci, Milan fashion houses, all there. Everything we buy somehow is affiliated with New York because of the ports and how easy it was to navigate the ports of New York, location-wise. Mm-hmm. So because of that reason, New York is so expensive and it has evolved. The stock market makes a lot of money in New York. However, there's so many homeless people there. Yeah. And it's brutal. Yeah. And you have to really live in New York and LA too, and all these other cities that are evolving in that same manner. And you see where I'm lining that up, just so you understand what I'm saying. Like, mm-hmm. you see how they're mirroring that, because they did the same thing to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And now they're trying to do the same thing to ATL. Mm. So it's like a ripple effect. Damn. Our government, state governments, city governments, they are investing into that. Mm-hmm. Because that's going to generate more revenue. That's what business development is. Business development, and I worked in business development when I was living in New York. Mm-hmm. So it taught me a lot. I was 23 working for a Fortune 500 company, making decent cash, but I couldn't afford to hit all my bills because the cost of living is so high. Mm. So I got sold a dream. I mean, not really. I didn't get sold a dream, but it's like you can get sold a dream.
You just feel good about
going to school.
You got a job.
You got a job, but then you get the job, and then reality creeps in, and it's like, whoa,
this ain't enough.
This was not enough, and this was not what I thought it was.
Yeah, I get that, and I want to slightly pivot, but it's still connected in the conversation. And in the pre-interview that we had earlier in February, you told me a lot, and I really appreciated your candor and your vulnerability, because I think it shows that it truly shows that you are really processing and truly overcoming some of the things that you've been through, you know? And I think a lot of people play down and don't give themselves enough credit to the level of expression that they can give when it comes to things they've been through. And I don't know how much you would like to share, but I think the topic that I would like to, you know, kind of pivot to
we hear
is it's definitely one of like kind of finding the light after darkness. And there was so many things, you know, in the story that you spoke to, you were going through at that time. And it brought you to a true, you know, what you could say, you know, for all intents and purposes, a breaking point. And that breaking point was kind of, you know, what brought you to where you are now. And I can imagine you probably feel a lot more aligned in who you are and what you should be doing with your time. But definitely give people a good, you know, the best, you know, the best kind of condensed version of what it is that you went through and how you got through it.
Yeah, so I think a majority of my life I have battled with anxiety and depression. And I'll be real about it because I have done the work to heal and to overcome the pain. So I can look you in the face and say this in a mic on a camera and not feel like I want to cry. And that's, for me, that is the best gift, because now I know I can heal another person, even if it's just like how we're doing today, having this conversation. And, you know, I saw a lot of things growing up in Atlanta, just with growing up on Campbellton Road. You know, if you look historically at things that happened in that area. And then on top of that, my mother was in a situation that affected my mental health a lot in high school. And, you know, I had to grow up fast because of that. And it's nothing against my mom. Like, I love my mom. Like, we have grown so much together and we're still growing together. And and I'm talking about this right now because not everybody has, you know, the white picket fence family that is portrayed in movies. Everybody's not like that. And it's not to say I don't love my family, but you can't change who your family members are when you come into this world. You're put here with them because they're your tribe for whatever reason. Like, whatever reason it is, God put these people to make you here. So you're here for a reason, right? And so, you know, that alluded to a lot of my personal development, but by the grace of God, I had people that saw something in me along my way. Like, when I was interning for the city of Atlanta, I met like my first two mentors. One of my mentors is the reason why I went to Georgia State. And, you know, she's very successful, but she saw something in me I didn't see in myself. And I love that in the moments of me going through those hard days of crying tears, and then also reaching that point of suicide that I reached in 2019 because of all of the stress that I had from my past as a child that I never got like validated. You know, now we do need validation in our psyche for certain things. Sure. That's true. And that's valid. But, you know, like, I was so overwhelmed because of my childhood. And then on top of that, I'm a young Black girl that was put here. And then I'm like the kid in between both of my parents. I'm the main kid that they're banking on to do something. Like, and it's like, that's pressure. Then on top of that, like, I don't have family members. Like, my father was in the military, but my mom, like, she has her own business, but it wasn't in what I wanted to do. So then, like, that puts pressure on me and how I'm developing. And then, you know, if I can't be myself and feel like I'm talking, like how I was saying earlier, kids get projected on. You get controlled as a kid and told what to do. So then that affects how you show up as yourself as an adult when you get to college or when you go to work, because then you feel nervous. And that's where imposter syndrome comes from. Like, really, when you think about the root of imposter syndrome, it really just comes from stuff you just haven't validated within yourself. Now, you need validation in certain aspects, but at some point, you can't it's really about your internal validation than your external validation. That's actually why I have this tattoo right here. It's called No Validation. That was also like my first brand. I started when I was 19. But I got that, I literally got that tattooed on me when I was depressed, because I just wanted a reminder when I was looking at myself. And so, like,
it was like intuitively, I already knew when I was at that peak in my mental health, like on the dark side of it. Yeah. Like, I knew I was going to get out of it, but I did not know like how, but sometimes you literally have to fall flat on your face. Yeah. Because if you don't get all that out, if you don't cry it out or really just break down and then just come to terms, but it's okay to do that. But after you do that, you got to get up. You got to get up. And that's what it taught me when I reached that point in my life where I had to be hospitalized for almost committing suicide. And then I lost a lot of friends at that time, or I had people that I thought were my friends that, you know, I look back at it, you were never my friend. You were using my pain as your amusement and your entertainment. And that's a whole nother thing.
Damn, that's mean as hell.
About humans and how they are and how they operate. But I could have been a victim because when I was willing to go that far that night, I got hospitalized. I felt like a victim, right? And that's where my power, I realized when I got there and I had to go to like rehab, like on some Kanye West shit, low key. Yeah. Like, and that happens. But you know what that taught me? I'm human just like them. Yeah. I'm human just like them, but I don't have cameras on me. Mm-hmm. Just like everybody goes home and they cry, you don't have cameras on you. Mm-hmm. So like once I started realizing that, and then I was doing therapy, and I've been in and out of therapy really most of my life, like because of the trauma. But you know, like I'm 22, 23 sitting in therapy, but I reached this point. So it was like a parallel moment in my brain, like a mind fuck. I'm like, shit, if I don't get myself together, I'm going to be fucking 30, 40, 50 like these folks up in here. You feel me? They nutting up, or people on the news that be nutting up doing crazy shit. I'm going to be just like that. And then when I had that moment, it took for me to hit rock bottom to say, you know what, I'm taking my power back. Like, fuck it. Y'all want to talk about me? Y'all want to talk about my business? Y'all want to talk about my pain? Bet I'm about to be on y'all asses. Like you will never find me where you left me. And that's no cap. Like that's no cap. And that's where the confidence comes from. The confidence comes from, and it's not narcissism. Because I've had people in my life that I have worked with project shit like that on me, like insecure shit. And I'm the type of person, like, I will actually listen to a person vent to me on some shit. And it's not even on the, like, I'm just trying to hear your business. It's on, like, I'm empathetic as fuck and I hear you. Like, I hear your pain and I'm not judging you. Yeah. But when you start taking that shit out on other people and trying to make them, how we were saying earlier, in these people in this world, sometimes they just want to see you doing good, but not better than them. When you inflict that on people that actually care about you, it's fucked up.
It hit harder too.
It hit way harder. And then, like, I've been called narcissistic. I've had people have perceptions of me, because I'm also not afraid to say how I feel. Like, I be on Twitter sometimes. I'm not on there like I used to be. But like when I was coming up, going through my shit, like, shit, that's what social media is for. We're being social. Like, we're being social. Like, I'm not finna sit over here and just act like my life's perfect 24/7, or sit over here and act like I'm just this girl that, no, I'm sharing my experiences like we all are. But like, people will take things and just because you're trying to be positive, sometimes if I'm tweeting some positive shit, it's not about being preachy. It's not about that. If I want to post some positive shit, it's not about faking an image. It's because I'm doing this shit to control my narrative.
For sure.
That's what you do. You control your timeline. You control your life. So when I hit that breaking point, and all that shit happened to me, and even the shit I went through that I don't want to speak on industry-wise, that happened to me early in my life, it changed me. Damn. It changed me, but I didn't want to be a victim. And I had to go through that because now I feel like my purpose and my calling is to heal and empower other creatives like that. There are creatives right now that may be in their 20s that don't even know their rights as a freelancer. You don't know your rights as a freelancer, but you're willing to go out of your way to be used. Yeah. And that's the thing about life. People will use you if you let them.
Yeah.
If you let them, you have to be wiser and have a sense of self, a very strong sense of self. And that's why I broke down the way I did, because I was looking for too much external validation from friendships, situationships, relationships, all of it. Like working relationships, like and my life mirrored that. And I had to sit with myself and say, how the fuck did I get here? Like, one of my mentors, she even asked me, she was like, Khadeeja, I know it's hard, but when are you going to ask yourself, how did you get here?
Yeah.
And when she said that to me, I was like, wow, you're right. Like, why did I entertain these people? Why did I let them in my life? Why did I allow myself to be in a situation where I may not be in the best working situation? Even when I was working in corporate too, like I was overexerting myself. Like, Black women and Black men, sometimes we get so caught up in feeling like, oh my God, I have to overwork to prove myself because of the fact that I'm Black.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates a whole nother layer of anxiety. So it's like all of that shit. And like for me, now I'm at this point where I'm beast mode internally. Like even when I'm crying, because we all have bad days too. Like after I cry, beast mode. Like I'm not going back to that feeling, that because I'm still here for a reason.
Yeah. And you know, kudos to you for having the strength to see the reasons as to why you should still be here. I can only imagine the amount of, you know, pain, darkness, and the complex feelings that you probably experienced to even be that low, to get to that existential inner crisis. You know, because that's really what it is.
A lot of people have that.
Crisis.
A lot of people have that. Our parents have existential crisis when they're in their 50s, trying to contemplate, wow, life is getting real and I'm only getting older.
Yep.
And that's the journey.
Have I had time to do what it is that I wanted to do? Have I been living a life that's not fulfilling? Do I have, you know, am I doing right by everything that it, you know, makes you who you are? But truly, like, it's big to, you know, experience something like that, not only be able and be willing to share, but I do want to thank you for feeling comfortable to share it for real. No,
because people need to hear that. Like, stop fucking letting these people tell you who the fuck you can be. Stop. I'm going to say that. And yes, I'm cursing. I am cursing.
I'm cursing.
Because real women don't, I'm sorry, but being just a meek woman, you won't make history. And I'm saying that really, like, think about all the women in society. Like, we just were able to vote because of Susan B. Anthony. We still, they trying to control my ovaries. You know, I got bigger problems. So you think I'm about to sit up here and let somebody sitting on their fucking couch in their house and what they say on social media get to me and stop me from chasing my bag and my purpose? You think I'm finna let somebody who don't even really, you still judging me from who I was when I didn't know myself, just like you. Because we're all on the journey of finding ourselves. That's why I don't judge people. Like, I really don't, unless it's like some real horrible shit, like, you know, being like psycho shit, like just some like left field snap shit. Okay, then the judgment should enter. But like, I'm not judging people for where they're at, because you still have to extend grace, because God gives you grace every time you wake up. Every time you wake up, it's another day of grace. So because of that, even if you hurt me, even if you pass me up and pass me up on something or anything like that, as a human, in my human experience, I still have to give you grace, because if I don't, I'm going to hold on to that negative energy. And I can't do that anymore. I'm not doing it.
And you shouldn't. And I, you know, like I said, I can only applaud you so much on kind of, you know, choosing yourself. Yeah. And I think that we don't realize how much power is in the idea of consistently prioritizing ourselves, making ourselves feel capable and able, but also just the fact that we are genuinely meant to be here for a reason.
Yeah.
We didn't choose to be here, all these different things, but a part of making life into what it needs to be. Because, you know, in so many ways, I think it was Nipsey's mom who said something that was like really deep, and it didn't really make sense to me until, you know, really recently. And she said that don't feel bad for my son because he now understands the secrets to life.
Yeah.
And I think and I think when the thing about it is I think people might, you know, maybe metaphor kind of is a little far reaching, but I think it's one that still makes sense for folks who do have ideations. Yeah. And that is, you're trying to shortcut. Like, instead of really truly getting whatever the blessing and lesson is of your life and figuring out what it is in full, you rather just shortcut, like, look, let's just get me to the end of the game. Right. Because I don't want to have to keep playing. I don't want to have to keep trying to figure it out. I don't want to have to keep trying to discover and do the work and all these various things. I'm just done. I'm tired. I'm weak right now for all these things that I can control and can't control. And so, yeah, I want to get out of here. Yeah. Let's take me out the game. Unplug me, you know?
And it is the easy way out, because it's so hard. And it's hard because our brain plays tricks on us. Yeah. Like, you think about all the thoughts that you think. Like, because that's where your ideas and your imagination comes. Like, our brain can be used for good and bad, just like everything in the world. Like, we know that. We see that when we look at the stuff we look at every day. Yeah. And so, like, when I started, I used books about psychology, and I also learned more about different ways of healing, like herbal, holistic remedies and chakra healing, things like that. I intentionally sought out those things on my way to this place that I am now to heal myself.
I love that.
And I opened myself up to it, not on a way of like doing anything like woo-wee or kooky, but just doing it in an intentional form of like, no one else is going to heal me but me. Mm-hmm. Like, no, and I'm still healing. Like, I still got stuff I'm processing and I'm going through.
We always works in progress.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. But I'm doing what works for me in my life, which may be me posting something positive or me just, you know, doing what I'm doing now, creating from a place of pure just essence of being myself and not feeling like I have a point to prove, not feeling like I have to get revenge on people who hurt me, or just feeling like I have to like from those rooted insecure places, because so many people do shit like that every day. That's why so many people hate working in corporate America now, because it's a boss that's being very condescending to them, micromanaging them, petty, or some old ass person at their job being loud, obnoxious because they don't like themselves and they're insecure. And we live in a world where people go and perpetuate, like how you were saying earlier about Justin Bieber and Selena and Hailey's information. People like perpetuating negative shit to avoid their own insecurities. The hardest part about starting a business is minding your own.
Woo.
Message.
Like, the hardest part about starting a business, because really, hey, it's a clip going viral on TikTok right now. I love Future. Okay. And Future talking about, you know how you roll, talking about, I think everybody should just mind their business so they can get their business done. That's some real shit. We all should just be doing that. We should. But unfortunately, people who don't want to do work on themselves, or that just may be where they're at, because some people are comfortable being there. They're like, well, this is where I'm at. I've been there before too. Yeah. But at some point, we all got to look at ourselves. Everything can't just be, even with conflict and all the shit on TikTok and Instagram where it's overwhelming as hell and everybody's venting about their damn friendships. Like, goddamn, just pick up the phone. Like, or actually look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, were you a good friend? And what role did you play?
Like, look.
And that's a whole nother thing we can unpack on another day.
Yeah, no, that's a whole nother pivot. But I do like what you putting down, and I'm glad you brought up business, because I think it's a perfect segue into one of my last points, and that is you work with creators all the time.
Yes.
So do I. Not only with a podcast, but also outside. Just throughout my life, I think I've attracted and kept creative people around me, even before I even really knew and noticed that was the trend in my life.
Right.
And I think that it's a gift.
Yeah.
In a way, to be a person who can be complimentary.
Yes.
To creatives. Because I think very often when you have two creatives in certain spaces, you know, ego plays a real large role, because it's like, well, I know what I'm doing. Well, I know what I'm doing. I know the shot. I got the shot, you know. And when you're a person who can be a person who is, you know, has a supportive element to your creativity, and you can understand the bigger picture, and maybe even have a skill that really exemplifies the broader scope that this creation can be. I think it's a gift. Like, I don't know if you've seen, it was actually kind of like a slightly, you know, made its ways through the internet, but it was a 60 minutes interview of Rick Rubin. Yeah. And Rick Rubin is, for all those who might not know, is one of the co-founders of Def Jam Records with Russell Simmons. And he is very well known kind of, you know, producer. And if you want to, for all intents and purposes, you can kind of say that he's like the predecessor of like a DJ Khaled. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he really is doing the producing, not beat making, not making the music, but literally putting the pieces together, having decisions on works of recorded works. So, and I think it was interesting because he was, you know, very matter of fact about it. Like, I don't know anything about music. I don't this, that, and the third, and I don't do anything. It's just really about having a particular level of taste and trust with these artists. So I would love to talk to you about, how does it feel for you to, have you noticed that about as a possible gift for you that you really possess, but also how do you think that benefits you as a whole? The fact that you aren't just a person who's quote unquote creative, but you can, like, it is a gift that you know how to work with creatives too.
Yes, and that's something I love that you said that. Like, that is the best way to put it. I have been blessed to, you know, do a lot of the things that I have done, which has entailed like public relations, publicity work, press kits, media work on the side that I've done early in my life. And you know, as I have been coming into this journey, because now I'm building my own creative agency and all the corporate experience I gained, like, it was really also me just hustling, like, prior, like, most of it, you know how Atlanta folks is, like, if you don't know how to go get some money in Atlanta, what you doing? Because I don't know nobody. I know people with no job in Atlanta that know how to still go get some money. That's just the culture of it. So I feel like me knowing that, and then me learning how, like, I'm the type of person, I love learning how stuff works. Like, even when I'm being taught, I've always been very inquisitive, but it's inquisitive because, you know, as a Gemini, being a Gemini, we like to understand how things work. Yeah. So when I learn how things work, that makes me happy. Like, that does something for me, because it's like, I'm leading myself. That's how I guide myself. Mm-hmm. Like what you were saying earlier about guidance, like, that's making me feel secure in guiding. Like, I need that for myself. Mm-hmm. And like, when I started learning about how business works and freelancing and how these corporations work as a creative, that sacrifice, I took off like 2 to 3 years of just not working with people, just living my life, staying to myself, just figuring myself out on purpose to just also soak myself in those experiences, because I personally I want to know how this stuff works. Because my parents don't. I mean, they do to a certain extent, but, you know, they haven't done what I'm doing. So I should learn. And why be condescending? That's the problem. It's a Caribbean proverb, crab in the barrel mentality. Mm-hmm. And that is the problem with our community. Like, I love our community. It's just, I don't like that some of us have crab in the barrel mentalities. And I ran across that early at like 18, 19 with people I was working with in the creative Atlanta scene. And
which I think is a problem everywhere.
It's a problem everywhere. And there's also, it goes back to what's happening now with white supremacy and the good old boy system. You know, it plays into an influence of that as well. But it's not cool to, just because you know something, feel like you have a one up on someone, especially if they're genuinely innocent and they don't know. Like I think because I was blessed with women who saw something in me that came into my life when I interned for the city of Atlanta. My mentors I met at 16, they're still my mentors to this day. Like, because of the relationships I built like that, or not even just with them, but just other older, wiser women or men who genuinely saw something in me and gave me opportunities from a genuine place and wanted to see me grow. Like, I have to carry that on, because that's also going to help me build my community, because, you know, everybody ain't for everybody. Everything ain't for everybody, but at least I know I can create my own community or submerge myself in a community that feels like a safe space. And how am I going to do that? By trying to keep another person down.
That's real. I
can only do that by doing what I did for myself, which is lifting myself up. So anybody that I bring into my life or I begin to work with, I would like for it to be like that, because everything is not always about money. You know, like, I have been blessed to make some money. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not a millionaire. my mama ain't chilling on the beach right now. You know what I'm saying? I can't get no Birkin right now. You know, I don't want to do that, but that's because it's bigger. It's always been bigger to me than that. It's been bigger than the cloud. It's always been, because this is how I have a story to tell, like I'm doing right now. And I want other people to feel inspired by their own stories, their own personal stories.
I fuck with that. I fuck with that. I think that, and I've told the story on the pod probably more than once, but to, you know, come into what your purpose is and to know that your purpose is one that you were sleeping on for a long time is really impactful, because it's like, damn, because it can make you feel a lot of things, from feeling like, oh, maybe if I was, you know, more diligent and, you know, kind of looking inward, I might have discovered this a little bit earlier. Yeah. But I think everything happens when it's supposed to. Timing. Because I think that now I am a very particular type of person now. Regardless of the things that I know how to do, I think I'm a very particular type of person now. Right. And because of that, you know, that those qualities that I was able to get in my overall just growing up, I think it is going to make me a better business person, a better creator for the things that I create on my own, but also a great fucking collaborator. Exactly. Because that's so important. I've lived some life. I have understanding. I understand that, you know, the choices that you're making are really genuinely your choices. And I can't personalize them all the time either. And I think that's a big thing that makes certain things hard, or make certain creatives, especially folks who are, you know, deeply within their creativity. You know, there's a lot of different eclectic artists that are in Atlanta. And I get why they might have certain people who have always been their people, because it's hard to sit here and, you know, try to re-evaluate somebody to see if they're going to genuinely understand you for all parts of who you are. Right. That's what people need. They don't need to be seen as just this thing that they are now popular for, people know them of. It's like, no, I literally need to have that grounding, because I'm not this all the time. I'm not this, you know, this whatever this thing is, you know? And I want people to respect me. I want people to feel like I'm worthy of respect, even if you take all these things away. Exactly. Exactly. And I think that was what I realized that I had going for me, is that I've always been big on kind of like not pedestalizing people and not seeing the humanity in folks, which is, you know, hence the tagline of the show, you know, humans simply being humans. Exactly. So it's kind of like, I don't, you know, I applaud folks who can have the ability to do it, because it is something that you really are signing up for that a lot of people don't know how to do. Yeah. And you have to be okay with knowing that the skill that you're giving and lending to whoever it is one of, you know, true, like it's a true gift. It's not something that you should play down or minimize. Everybody cannot work with creatives because they can't even get into the rooms. They can't even speak the language, you know, to where you really are, you know, and also express to themselves that they really do see the vision. You know, like express like, no, I actually get exactly what you're trying to do. And I think this is how we can go about doing it. A lot of people really need that. We need that level of collaboration, that symbiotic aspects to, you know, making certain things happen. Because in every single thing that we do these days, you know, you can really sit here and take the same principle of, you can do it alone and maybe get there fast, but doing it together and it'll really last, you know? And just asking and looking to the side and networking laterally a lot more can truly put you in a better position. And I think that a lot of people sleep on that because just like you said, people are thinking about clout. They're thinking about the biggest thing. You know, I always tell people about, you know, the reason of collaboration, a big motivator of collaboration throughout Atlanta is that you don't want to be the one who sit there and skipped out on somebody who about to be the next thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because that's how I'm feeling about myself right now.
So if you come in correct, a lot of people will give you some space. If you're in the same room as them, you get that contact, whatever, they might actually give you an opportunity.
Exactly.
But the thing about it is, and this is something I want everybody to understand, when you become, quote unquote, when you get any type of notoriety in any space, people now knowing who you are is a good thing. It's a blessing and a curse. Because now that they know who you are, when you're not on your shit, they know who you are.
Yep.
So it's not a...
And that goes down for anything and anywhere in your life.
Yeah. So it's be ready for the attention that you are calling into your life. So if you really want to become this public figure in some way, shape, or form, especially you getting into entertainment in any way, understand that people are going to judge when you aren't at the top.
No, they aren't. But that's why I'm glad I went through that transformational phase so early because that can fuck with a person's psyche. Like, look at all the famous people that are depressed and their mental health like deteriorating in front of our eyes, or even people like our influencer friends that psych themselves out all the time, like because you're still seeking that external validation. But all of that, how you show up is still about how you showing up for yourself. And you can't go out here and collaborate, produce, execute, be your best self if you're not good.
No.
You can't do it.
No. And you know what? I think it's time to send it on. Mm-hmm. When you hear this, you're going to hear some nice, good, soulful instrumentals of D'Angelo behind my voice.
Okay.
You're going to like it. It's going to sound real good. But what I would like for you to do, Khadeeja Zee, tell the peoples how they can support you. Like everybody who's listening, let them know they can pour into anything for you right now, or it's anything that you got going on. Let them know.
You guys, thank you for tuning in. And before I talk about supporting me, support my man's Rodney. Real stand-up guy. Just want to throw that out there.
I appreciate it.
Because I'm so happy you had me here today to just like share this about myself. So once again, my name's Khadeeja Zee from Atlanta, born and raised. I actually have my own agency called the K95 Agency. It's a developing creative company that will be providing creative solutions, productions, a lot of opportunities as well that I'm building with that. That is in its infancy stage. And aside from that, I am going back to school for film, and I just, took one of my classes recently. So I will be extending, my passion for the arts and business into film, which was always my plan as a little girl, going back to me wanting to be an actress. So manifestation is real, and just support my journey. If you don't buy nothing from me or buy tickets at an event that I'm ever hosting or producing, because I produce events as well, that's cool. Just follow me, support me, like me, tell your friends, tell somebody something good and positive. And I hope everybody take something from what I had to say today.
I heard that. I really do appreciate you giving me your time. I appreciate you reaching out to even want to be on the pod in general. Because stuff like that make my life easy, you know what I'm saying? When people should show interest.
Yeah.
But I really do thank you, and I really do, don't want to minimize the vulnerability that you showed in speaking to any parts of your story and the things that you've been through and where you feel and how you feel in this current moment. But Really, truly appreciate it. Thank you for coming in and sitting down with me. You know what I'm saying? As I said at the top of the episode, this episode was brought to you powered by Hair by Ashe.
Okay, yeah, shout out to Ashe.
You know, powered by House of Ashe.
Yes.
Go and see about if you can get a booking. I don't know if you're gonna get one, but go check the work and see about it.
Support Black businesses by Black women.
May the force
and
be
Black
with
men.
You. May the force be with you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, I really, really do appreciate you. And if you don't know, you should know. You can look at all the things that she spoke to, supporting all the things to follow Khadeeja Zee in the description of this episode. And if you also don't know, you should know. You can follow me everywhere at Kings_Memoirs. You should make sure that you follow the podcast page at Simply King Pod and Simply King Podcast on Facebook. And make sure you check out all the services and the things that I provide on lifeisking.com and follow the Instagram page at Life is King. I appreciate y'all. This has been a dope conversation. This is the Soulfully Conscious Podcast for humans, simply being humans. I've been Rodney Perry. This has been Khadeeja Zee, and this has been Simply King. Peace.